أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله.
Alrighty, what's up, guys? This is episode 3. Wow. My name is Jovian, for those of you that may not know, and this is Crescent Cross Covenant Coalition, or CCCC, or C4. And the intention on the videos that you'll see on this channel are to bridge the divide and heal the divide between Christians and Muslims. And what better way to do it than speaking about Prophet Jesus, or Isa, as we would say. Um, very contentious. Christians have a very skewed perception on how Muslims revere and respect Prophet Jesus or Prophet Isa, peace be upon him. And it's been refuted countless times, but I guess you guys hearing it from someone who looks like me, maybe it'll resonate differently. Or you might be coming across this for the first time. You know, I've met many Christians, even someone like Alex Jones from InfoWars. I'm sure everyone knows Alex Jones, but if you don't, he's a political commentator, and I overheard him speaking to Nick Fuentes, saying that Muslims don't believe in Jesus, which is insane. So him and others like him either are stupid or they're lying. There's no in between. You know, I could say ignorant and be nice, but no, like you're stupid. You're stupid or you are lying. Before we get into it, please like and comment and subscribe. I hate that I have to do this. I hate that I have to say that, but I have to say it. So smash the like button, smash the follow or the subscribe button, depending on where you're watching this. Please comment and let me know how you're enjoying the content so far. What I can do better, especially Muslims. Like, you know, please, I don't want to be. This is not a channel to bash or to degrade, right? No gotcha moments. That's not what I'm here for. So I'm always looking to engage with you guys and progress. You know, this is all very new for me. I've always loved speaking, and it's interesting. I was saying this a few days ago that when I was making music, and for those of you that don't know, you can go to episode 1. I'll link it in the description, or I'll put it up here or something. I was a musician up until now. It is two and a half weeks ago. I officially retired. Um, and one thing that was really fascinating to notice was I was excited to use my art. I was excited to use my platform within music as a Trojan horse to express my ideas. And of course, that's, you know, challenging and problematic because I need to build a platform with the music before I can express my ideas, or Trojan horse the ideas in the music, you know. But there's only so far that goes. My main thing is like I really enjoy speaking and sharing my ideas and collaborating with people on how I can get those ideas to be reflected in society, you know, in real life and culture. I'm really passionate about that, and that takes years and years of making music to be able to be allowed to do something like that. And even then, it's like it's still a faux sense of influence in the world. It's not real. And I get into a lot of that in my first video, but that was still an interesting uh, thing to reflect on, which is now it's just the ideas. You know, I don't need a Trojan horse anything. You know, I don't need to play pretend of like being a low IQ artist. Not that I ever pretended to be low IQ, but in general, like musicians, like there's only so far you can get sharing ideas through that platform, you know, through that medium. You know, you can share emotional things, but to share these complex ideas or the healing I want to see in the world, um, it's tough. It's tough to do that, you know, especially when I'm focused on everyone liking me, much like Charlie Kirk, right? Like he was a little bit of everything for everyone. He reflected who he needed to gain support from. And it's the same thing in music. Music, there's only so far I can go with my opinion. I think I said something about if you got the COVID vaccine, but then degraded me for not getting one, then I hate you, or something, something hyperbolic. And I lost followers for that. Or I posted once like a meme of like our government convincing us why we need to give them more money in our taxes when we're like 34 trillion in debt or something. And that was just like a meme. I wasn't even I mean, that's fact, right? That wasn't my opinion, and I lost followers for that. So I'm excited now to just have supporters and subscribers and people who join the movement just for the ideas, right? Not for the thing, and then I have to sift through those people to find like the really hardcore people who really enjoy the message. It's just the message now. It's nothing else. So that's been really fun and really exciting. But regardless, yes, the point of this video, Prophet Jesus, Prophet Isa, peace be upon him, as a convert or a revert into Islam, it was incredible to see how revered Jesus is in the Quran. He's mentioned 25 times. And not only is he revered, his mother, right, the Virgin Mary, Miriam, or Miriam, right, peace be upon her, she has a whole surah, which is chapter. She has a whole chapter in the Quran just for her. Not only that, it's taken a step further, and the whole family of Mary has their own surah or chapter, which is her father Imran. So her father has a chapter, she has a chapter. Jesus is referenced, is named 25 times, more than Prophet Muhammad. So seeing all this with the background of being raised Roman Catholic, which is Jesus is God, and then God is also the Holy Spirit, and Christians, Catholics, that sect, are the only ones that regard Jesus in any way. And anything less than regarding him in that way is treason, let's say, right? It's disbelief. So it was very surprising to me to see another group outside of Christianity to praise Jesus and respect and hold Jesus to such a high regard, when that's not what's commonly represented, in social media and in just mainstream thought. So all that is to say, yes, Christians, the 5% differences that we have between each other is you guys believe he's one in three, he's the Son of God, right? Uh, and but you believe he's the Messiah. We believe he's not the Son of God, but he was birthed from Mary, who was a virgin, just like you guys believe, and he's a prophet, and he is the Messiah. We believe he's coming back the same way you guys believe he's coming back, and that's really important for you guys to understand. We regard him in the same regard, right? We just don't believe the God aspect, and we regard Virgin Mary, we regard the whole lineage, right, with the father Imran, and that's important to express to you guys. We regard him we regard him so highly that, much like every other prophet, in Muslim culture and Muslim faith and Muslim doctrine, you are not allowed to draw Prophet Jesus, Prophet Isa. You're not allowed to draw him. And that's really powerful, and that really blew me away, because who's the number one mocked? Who's the number one mocked religious figure in the world? That's Jesus. Like, look at the Olympics last year. That's a mockery of Jesus, a mockery of the church, a mockery of the Catholic and the Christian faith. Nothing but a mockery, right? So, and who was against that openly, vocally, the most was Muslims. All along my timeline, even in Iran. Even in Iran, they were against it. Right? So that tells you there's a disconnect with the Catholic Church that has allowed the tolerance of Jesus being mocked. And let's put it in the perspective of, let's say the church, right? Um, again, we don't believe he's God, but let's say we would never allow for him to be mocked, and he's a prophet, right? And that's one of the highest, like, of man, the highest you can get as a rank is prophet. So he's of the highest, right? And of the Muslims could probably correct this better than me. I want to be honest with what I know, so I could easily pause this and Google it, but I'd rather be honest with where I'm at. Uh, there's something where there's the five most, I don't know if it's the five most important prophets or the five prophets closest to God, like in the heavens. There's something, I don't want to say top five, like it's some competition, some rap top five, but it's Jesus, who's Isa, Prophet I can't say that. I'm sorry. Prophet Ibrahim, uh, Prophet Muhammad, and Prophet Musa. So those are the five most important, the five key. And again, the the Muslims in the comments will explain that a lot better than me, because that's not to say the other prophets aren't as important, but these are just the five closest to God or something to that effect. But the fact that we don't allow for Jesus to be drawn, that that makes it so that he cannot be mocked. That's why God put that in place. That's what's so incredible about the foresight of the Quran, the wisdom of the Quran, the wisdom of God. Of course, the all wise. Um, you as a Muslim, you as a religious person should not be drawing or building statues out of these important historical and religious figures. Everywhere, even in my house, astaghfirullah, in my house, God forgive, there's like my grandmother had some kind of like a wall statue of the Virgin Mary with baby Jesus, and like I want to be like Abraham and destroy it, but it's my grandmother who died and passed it on to my dad, so it's not my house, so I can't do that. But imagine if you can build statues and draw Virgin Mary, draw Jesus, uh, then he has the capacity to be mocked. But if he wasn't allowed to be drawn, how can you mock him? There would be no power, because now you can't create a caricature of him, right? Um, and that would leave no room for him to be mocked or him to be degraded and disrespected in Christian countries. That is insane. That is insane that I did not see an uproar from the Catholic. I saw an uproar from Andrew and Tristan Tate. Andrew Tate, who is a Muslim. Obviously, he reverted around the same time as me. But why was Andrew Tate, as a Muslim, protesting in the streets of Romania, the number one Christian country in Europe? I think it's like 99 or 98% Christian. Why was a Muslim in the streets? But I didn't see Christians. I didn't see any Christians care. But the Muslims did. So, and that's not to bash, right? That's not to bash. That's actually great for us to all learn and be better, right? But that's just to show you that Muslims revere Jesus, Prophet Isa. His mother has a whole chapter. His mother has a whole chapter in the Quran. His grandfather has a whole chapter in the Quran. That's really important for you guys to understand. And of course, Christians, rightfully, you can look at it as disrespectful because we don't revere him as God, right? We don't see him that way. But push that aside. We will never see him as God. We will never idolize him, right? But he's still our Messiah. I don't even want to use the word believe. I hate that word believe, because believe leaves room for disbelief, right? Like, you would never say, I believe in noses, right? Noses are there. They're here. That's how much we know Jesus is the Messiah. The same way you have a nose, we know Jesus is the Messiah. So if that's such a huge pillar in Christian doctrine, again, removing the God aspect. So if we revere Jesus in this way, we are the perfect team up. We are the perfect coalition. And again, we revere him so much, we are not allowed to draw him. We're not allowed to make statues of him. We're not allowed to do anything other than read about him and preach about him. Because anything else leads to the Olympics, leads to, I walk around the city, God forgive New York City, and I see shit like Jesus was gay or Jesus was for LGBTQ, like all these different things. It's like, why? Like, the fact that they are incorporating Jesus into their secularism, into their liberalism, that tells you that something has gone astray. Things have gone in disarray, and Muslims would never allow that. So yes, of course, Prophet Muhammad is, to us, the final prophet who brought down through God and through the angel Jibril, he brought down the miracle that is the Qur'an. But that doesn't mean, because Muhammad is the one who brought down our these teachings, that doesn't mean he's replaced by Jesus. And like the way you look at Jesus as a Christian is how we look at Prophet Muhammad. That's not the case. We regard everyone as equal. They all preach the same message, right? Believe in one God, submit to one God, and do not create idols. Do not put anyone equal to God. That's what they all preach. So we regard Isa, Prophet Jesus, the same way we regard Prophet Muhammad and Moses and Abraham, Noah. We regard them all as incredible, the best of us, the absolute best of us. So that's important for you guys to know that. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions and purposeful misconceptions. You know, even the word misinformation is like so like buzzwordy now, but there is so much purposeful malinformation, misinformation, as if like Prophet Muhammad is our God, or Prophet Muhammad is the one. It's like, no. He's one of the ones. There's multiple. You know, we're even taught that there are prophets that we don't even know about. You know, there are prophets that are not even mentioned. You know, there are hundreds of thousands of prophets that have come throughout the times, but the Quran, much like the Bible and the Torah, focus on these select groups of prophets, because they have, in my belief, they have the best lessons to teach, and some of the most important lessons to teach. And I feel like that goes into my final point, which is the idea that Islam is incompatible with the West. I think that's such like a fun button that people hit. How could Islam be incompatible with the West when everything that Islam stands for is in direct opposition to all the things that are wrong with the country? And all those things that are wrong with the country are exactly what the Christians are also against, right? So you know, Christianity and Islam, they may not be on the same side in terms of how we regard Jesus, in terms of what, you know, we believe he's the prophet and the Messiah. You guys believe he's God and the Messiah. So that aside, we're not opposites of each other, we're parallel. So we're parallel, and opposite is secularism, opposite is liberalism. So how could Islam be incompatible with the West when we oppose the same things that you Christians oppose, right? And we have no power here. We're like barely 2% of this population. The politicians that are in power, quote unquote, that are Muslim, they're all Democrats, right? So what? So either that's one of two things. Either they are, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I have to say it. Either one of two things. They're not actually religious Muslims. They're secular Muslims who are using it to get votes. And I hope that's not the case. I don't mean any disrespect. That's just what I see. That's my experience. Because everything that Islam is conservative. You know, we do not, like, and no disrespect, but Christianity and Republican, I feel like, is very much intertwined. Ironically, which is because we live in a country that's separation of church and state, but that's very much intertwined. Islam, none of that. There's no politics in Islam. It's just what's permissible, what's not. Right? There's zero tolerance. So to have hyper conservative views, pillars that have not changed since Prophet Muhammad brought them down to us, we're not liberal. We're not Democrat. So the 6 or 7 or however many Muslims that are in politics that are Democrat, they are either using Islam as a mask to gain, support, gain votes, or which what I hope is more likely, but only God knows, is after 9/11. After 9/11, the push for like anti-Islam sort of rhetoric was at such a high that to this day Muslims are afraid to vote Republican. You know, even here where I live, in New York, any mosque or anything I've gone to for prayer or for any of our holidays like Ramadan, the only politicians I see who come here from New York are Democrats because they know they can get the vote. It's fear mongering. The Democrats know that they can get the Muslim vote because of 9/11. That's all this is. But that aside, the actual core of Islam, the core of Islam that has no power in America, is the most compatible group with the West because everything that's wrong with the country stands in direct opposition to what Islam is. So LGBTQ, secularism, liberalism, all these different avenues that the Christian church has allowed in this country, right? Let's say this is a Christian country, which I don't believe so, but let's use that argument that the Christians use. That that the power that is these other institutions like secularism, liberalism, that all comes from the tolerance of the Christian church. So who can help you the most? Who's the most opposed to these kinds of things? The Muslims, because you don't see this in Islam. You don't see this in the mosque. You don't see a liberal sort of secular modern version of Islam. It is what it is, you know. So I think for you Christians, again coming from a Roman Catholic upbringing, don't say things like, "Oh well, it says this in the Old Testament and this is the New Testament." It's like no, no, no. Like it's even though that's the Old Covenant, the New Testament isn't there to rewrite the Old Covenant. It's meant to compound, right? So Jesus, according to you guys, right, Jesus brought the covenant for Gentiles, right? Like now Gentiles can be saved. But whatever it says in the Old Testament, then that is still law for you guys as a faith. The number one group for American Christians to build a coalition with is Islam, are Muslims. And again, I'm not here for gotcha moments. I'm not here to disrespect. I'm only here to build and help you understand our stance on things from a Muslim, from someone from the Roman Catholic, liberal, secular world, from New York City. It coming from my mouth, my goal, God willing, inshallah, is for you guys to absorb this in a different way because of who I am, where I come from. I come from the music industry, I come from the acting world, I come from the fashion world. So rather than hear it from someone who hates you, hear it from some puppet who wants to paint Islam as the enemy. I need to throw my hat in the ring to say, hey, no, this is the truth. Everything in this video that I shared is not only the truth, but is so close to the ideals of Christians that we are your only hope to save this country. That's it. And yeah, there are all other debates we can have about why Muslims do this, why do Muslims vote blue, and why are all the Muslim politicians Democrat? Like I said, 9/11, or they aren't actually Muslim and they're using it as a mask to gain popularity. I'm telling you, we are on your side without compromising either of our faiths, right? We can build a coalition without either of us having to convert or to sin, right? It doesn't have to be haram. It doesn't have to be. We have our faith and our heart pillars. You have your faith and your pillars, and we're parallel. We're not opposites. We're not opposing each other. We want the same things. And we can have a peaceful coalition that brings about a country that has those things in the foundation of what it means to be American. So that's my rant for today. Just some thoughts I had. I appreciate you guys being here. If you got this far, again, please smash the follow button, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Please share with your friends. I'm here just for peace, no gotchas. And I'd love to expose Islam to people who are searching, who want to fill that void. Of course, I'm always here to share guidance and share, my path and how I got to my faith. And if you're a Christian, I'm not, of course, if you convert, amazing, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to heal this divide. That's all I'm here for. And eventually have this go political. That's the goal. We need to fix this country. And I think the first step is healing both of our faiths and not allowing propaganda or bad faith actors to get in the way of a relationship that can be built. Because truly, until Jesus comes, we are your only hope to build the future that you guys are looking for. So thank you. Again, my name is Jovian. This is Crescent Cross Covenant Coalition, or CCCC, C4. And yeah, you can join my Telegram. It'll be linked down below, my Instagram, and more videos to come soon. Thank you guys so much. Peace.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم